Chapter 2. I stopped off at a newsstand and bought a candy bar for lunch and a paper to read while I ate it, making sure to get a receipt for my expense report. I turned to the comic section and found the Baby Herman strip. The rabbit appeared in one panel out of the 4, barely visible behind the smoke and flame of an exploding cigar given him by Baby Herman. I folded the paper shut. Hardly an earth-shaking caper, this one. A fast buck and not much more. But what did I expect? Hobnobbing with a rabbit only gets you to Wonderland and fairy tales. I met the DeGreasy Brothers, Rocco and Dominic, in their offices high atop one of LA's most prestigious skyscrapers. The two were human, although almost comical in their marked resemblance to one another. Their rigid foreheads formed a wobble of demarcation between bowl-shaped haircuts and frizzy eyebrows. Their noses would have looked perfect behind a chrome horn bolted to the handlebars of a bicycle. Smudgy mustaches curtained their circular porthole mouths. Their biceps looked to be half the size of their forearms, and they had feet large enough to cut 15 seconds off any duck's time in the 100-meter freestyle. Had the DeGreasy boys been discovered frozen beneath some Arctic tundra, a good case would probably have been made for them being the long-sought missing link between humans and toons. But, as funny as they looked, when I checked them out, they had come up professional and efficient, the most astute guys in the comic strip business. I gave my card to Rocco, the eldest, who passed it across his handsome antique desk to his brother Dominic. Not wanting to spend a minute longer than necessary on this case, I came straight to the point. I told them Roger Rabbit had hired me to find out why they refused to honor their contractual obligation to star him in a strip of his own. Rocco chuckled, then scowled, the way a father might when he sees his youngster do something irritating but cute.
"Let me explain our position with regard to Roger Rabbit,"
he said without the slightest trace of rancor. His precise manner of speech and his 6-bit vocabulary gave me quite a surprise. From his looks I expected Goofy, but I got Owen Cantrell, Wall Street lawyer, instead.
"My brother Dominic and I signed Roger specifically because we felt he would play well as a foil for Baby Herman. We never made any mention of the solo strip then, or since."
Rocco leaned toward me, displaying in the process an impressive array of his star's merchandising tie-ins. A Superman tie bar, Bullwinkle Moose cufflinks, and a Mickey Mouse wristwatch.
"Roger frequently concocts absurd stories such as this one. We tolerate his delusions because of his great popularity with his audience. Roger makes a perfect fall guy, and his fans love him for it. However, he does not have the charisma to carry a strip of his own. We never even consider giving him one. Right, Dominic?"
Dominic's head bounced up and down with the vigor of a spring-necked plastic dog. Rocco got up, opened a file drawer, and pulled out a sheet of papers, which he handed to me.
"Roger's contract. Read it through. You'll find no mention of a solo strip. And it stipulates a very generous salary, I might add."
He closed the drawer and returned to his chair.
"We have treated Roger fairly and ethically. He has no reason whatsoever to complain."
I flipped through the contract. It seemed to be in order. What about the rumor going around that somebody wants to buy out Roger's contract to make him a star? Rocco and Dominic exchanged quizzical glances and shrugged more or less in unison.
"News to us,"
said Rocco.
"If someone did approach us with an offer for Roger, if it made financial sense, and if Roger wanted to go, we would gladly sell him off. We're not ones to stand in the way of our employees' advancement, and there's certainly no shortage of rabbits to replace him."
He stood and ushered me to the door.
"Mr. Valiant, I suggest you consider this case closed. And next time, get yourself a more mentally stable client."
Sounded reasonable to me. Chapter 3. I took a few random jogs. The trench coat, broad-brimmed hat, and large sunglasses matched me move for move. A tail. I picked up my pace, turned a corner, and ducked into a doorway. Seconds later, my tail came around the corner after me. I let him get 3 paces past, then jumped him, grabbing his arm. I twisted it behind his back and slammed him against the nearest wall. "Who are you and what do you want?" I hissed, applying some persuasive pressure. "I was only curious about how a real detective operates," read my tail's balloon. "I just thought I'd tag along, kind of observe from a distance. I'm sorry if I fouled up your modus operandi." I released his grip and snatched away the broad-brimmed hat, exposing a set of carefully accordioned 18-inch ears. "Look," I told the rabbit, honing a hat against his concave chest. "When I have something worthwhile to report, I get in touch. Otherwise, you stay away from me. Clear?" The rabbit smoothed out his ears. However, the left one sprang back into a tight clump, giving his head the lopsided appearance of a half-straightened paperclip. "Yes, I understand." He fiddled with his ear, fiddled with his sunglasses, fiddled with the buttons on his trench coat, until finally he ran out of externals and began to fiddle with his soul. "My entire life I wanted to be a detective." Sure, him and 10 million others. 2 mystery strips suckered them into believing that knights errant always won. Yeah, maybe Rip Kirby bats 1,000. But I consider it great if I go for 10. "Forget it," I said. "Besides, I'm not so sure how much longer I'm going to stay on this case." I reported my conversation with the DeGreasys, adding that they suggested him as poster boy for the failing mental health society. He took it in stride. "I never said they put it in writing, that bit about me getting my own strip," he countered. "They made the offer verbally, and Rocco repeated it several times since." "Anybody besides you ever heard him?" "Sure. He said it once at a photo session in front of baby Herman and Carol Masters, my photographer. Just ask them. They'll remember. As for my being crazy, yes. I see a psychiatrist. So do half the tunes in the business. That hardly qualifies me as a full-blown loony." "I don't know," I said, figuring to cut it off here. "The whole mess sounds like a job for a lawyer." "Please," the rabbit begged, "stick with it. I'll double your fee." Such persuasive words. "All right, you double my fee and I stay on the case." I turned and walked away. The rabbit plopped his hat into the chasm between his ears and bounded after me, hopping so fast that his word balloons whipped across the top of his head, snapped loose with the sharp pings at the base of his neck, and bounced off across the sidewalk. "Let me help you," he said when he caught up with me. "It would mean a great deal to me. Please?" "No way," I said flatly. "I work alone. Always have, always will." Call me rude, but I say what I mean. If people want sympathy, let them see a priest. At least he got the message. He did an abrupt about-face and shambled away.